Hey guys, it's me. It's Ryan Burglar, and welcome to Burglar with a W. I tried to do this before, had a whole different name for the channel, changed it up because it just wasn't working. It felt forced. And I realized that the reason it felt forced was I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, right? It's really hard to explain. Okay, so there's a couple reasons why I wanted to do this, right? One, I felt like I should be doing something like this, making a channel, doing some videos, kind of like really just a video, just an old school kind of vlog situation. And kind of the purpose and what I landed on, right? About like what I really feel like I should be doing is creating something for posterity. And I know the lighting's kind of bad. I'm sitting under a canopy in Garner State Park, by the way, out here in the hill country of Texas, out past Uvalde. So I'm in the shade and the light's not too good, but we'll get over it, right? We'll survive. But for posterity, one, for my kids, right? So that they have something that they can look back on, and for my grandkids and all this kind of stuff too, so that they're like, hey, my kids can be like, this was your granddad, just in case, my grandkids can be like, this is your great granddad, assuming, right, that we don't do what we probably should do and blow the internet up. Which I understand the irony of that, right? Because I'm posting this and using the internet to do this, but so that's there, because I have certain things. My dad, right, and I'm gonna get into that here in a second. But I have some things from my dad, and my dad passed away when I was 13. But I still have some things, right? I have more than just photos, and I'm lucky to have more than photos. Because he was a radio DJ, so we have recordings of his voice, we have stuff like that, and so I kind of wanted to just kind of create the same kind of thing, so that's there, right? And and it's not going to just be that. There's going to be other things going on, right? But I just kind of want to start it, and I guess the whole idea that's been kind of bouncing around in my head, right? Is to start with a series of like dad lore, right? Which in my case, it'll actually be, we'll start with granddad lore. Like it's my dad lore, but it's granddad lore for my kids, right? And so here's the thing about this, making it a public thing, right? Is that feel free to take my dad lore and make it yours, right? My dad would have got a kick out of that, to hear somebody telling his stories like he was their dad. I think he would have thoroughly enjoyed that. And you know what? If my stories get told, you hear my dog? He's barking at somebody walking by. That he would have loved, if you tell my stories like they're your dad's stories, I don't care. I can be your internet dad. That's totally fine. I'll tell you to go to bed and stuff if I really need to. Be nice to your sister, all those kinds of things, right? So that's kind of it. That's kind of the direction we're going to go with this. And the reason it's called Burglar with a W is my last name, Wurgler, when spelled out, is Wuergler. And looking at it on paper, it's sometimes kind of hard to pronounce that. And so we were taught from an early age, when people say, well, how do you pronounce that? Just say, it's like burglar with a W, right? So that's kind of the whole, where the name came from and what we're going to be doing there. But some things about my dad before I get into it, and kind of where all these stories came from too. My dad grew up in Colorado. He joined the Marines in the middle of the Vietnam War because he had a temper problem, and he knew the Marines could fix it, right? So I need you to think about that for a second. Our country is at war. There's a draft. And not that he didn't love his country, don't get me wrong, but not out of some like overwhelming need to serve his country. This man went, you know, I have a really bad temper. I bet the Marines could fix it while we're at war. Like, that always blew my mind that was his logic behind that was I got a temper issue. I got some anger problems. I got to get them under control. You know what? Let me go down there and sign up for the Marines. And, you know, and there it is, right? He served 2 tours in Vietnam. Came back like a lot of guys that went over there. And joined in on some protests, right, for ending the war, which I respect that, because if anybody's going to protest the end of war, it should be the guys that actually fought, right, that had those experiences, to be able to say, hey, I was there, and this ain't that good, right? So I definitely respect that. Matter of fact, he was wounded in battle twice, had 2 Purple Hearts. At one point, there was a massive protest where a lot of the veterans, you know, returned their Purple Hearts by throwing them onto the lawn of the White House. And so that's why we don't have his Purple Hearts, because that's what he did with them, right? Anyway, he came back. He was I guess while he was in the Marines, he was a drill instructor. He was a radio operator. He just, you know, did a lot of different things while he was in. Came back and started working in radio as a DJ, and had a bunch of different experiences there. All kinds of stuff that he got to do. He interviewed Michael Jackson on Michael Jackson's 13th birthday is one of the things that he got to do. You know, at the time when radio was not like it is today, right? Radio today, there's like, what, 2 or 3 major radio companies, and they run everything. Local radio back then was local radio, and if a band or an artist or whoever came through on tour, it was your local guys and ladies who got to interact, right? It wasn't all syndicated and all national and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stories from there that I'm going to be telling. And then he used to tell me stories too about growing up, about some of the goofy, stupid things he did that, you know, it's weird because I tell my kids, and I'm sure I'll tell them here too, some of the stories about what I did growing up. And don't worry, for any of you that were my friends then, I won't incriminate anyone except myself. But you know, they look at me like what I did was nuts. And then I think back to the stories my dad used to tell me, and, you know, it's a wonder any of us survived to this point, to be able to have kids and have lore to share. But anyway, so that's kind of what I'm going to be doing, where we're going to be going with this. Just wanted to start here over the next couple of days while we're here in the state park. I'm going to try to record a few different things to get started. And yeah, so that's it, guys. So that's welcome to Burglar with a W. Like I said, we're going to start with granddad and dad lore, and then we'll see where we go from there. I got lots of opinions we'll probably be sharing. Just a lot of opinions. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's it, guys. We'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoy. Hope you stick around. Feel free to share comments, anything like that, questions you may have, all that kind of stuff, man. All right, guys. Have a good one. Love y'all.